Hello, everyone, and welcome to Progress with Portia, where we have real conversations to progress individuals and communities. I'm so excited to have you here for the very first show, y'all. For the first one, you always remember your first, right? Your first is always special. So thank y'all for watching my first episode, because now we're gonna always have this special bond. So when you see me, tell me you was a part of my first. So that first one. I don't know where your mind went, but stay clean. We know your first is special, so this is a special time. So I'm excited. Today I have a special guest with me, Ayo. Ayo is comedy.
Hey, how you doing?
So we're excited. Today we're going to be talking about mental health. Now, of course, he is a comedian, a businessman, an entrepreneur, actor, all kind of things.
All that.
And some, right?
Yeah, and some. A little bit of everything.
So we're excited to have you here. So we're talking about mental health, but you have a comedy platform. You want to tell people a little bit about what it is you do?
Well, I provide laughter and joy to many people across America. I actually have a few fans across seas, so you can just say I'm internationally known.
International, baby.
Yeah, I'm internationally known. On the
telephone.
Yeah, on the iPhone.
Oh, yeah, on the iPhone.
Yeah,
IG, baby.
yeah. So I provide people with laughter, just helping people escape anything that they may be going through at that current moment. It's just a gateway to fill people with joy, and I'm just grateful to have that. Yeah.
Right. Well, I want to tell you, I love your channel, your IGs. Well, I said station, your IG. Every day, there's a few people's IG I'm gonna check every day. I ain't gonna tell y'all everyone's, but I do check yours every day. And so I watch your shows, and I'm very thankful. Like you said, you spread joy, laughter. If I'm having a good day, bad day, whatever kind of day, I'm checking my IG. What is Ayo up to today? And me and my friends, we're gonna DM each other. I might hit like, but y'all, some of them we can't kind of look and see this. Who like this? Can I like this in public? I know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. Don't judge me.
The stuff that I post, some of the stuff that I post for sure is like, okay, hold on, I'm gonna just have to DM this to my
friends. We DM it.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna tell y'all which one, but I like your content regardless.
I get it in. I
y'all don't judge me. Right. Y'all don't judge me because y'all know y'all do the same thing. But anyway, I definitely love your material. But it does actually, laughter, joy, comedy, it spreads healing. Yeah. And so like today we're gonna be talking about mental health, but your job and what you do already, it does help to ease people, like you said, ease the burden of pain for those people who are going through something. And so we talked the other day on the phone, I didn't get to mention that, but it's like you already were releasing that healing into the earth when you do the comedy. And so it definitely brings joy to people. I know when I'm going through some of the hardest times, I want to listen to something funny. I want to see something to just kind of get my mind off of the heaviness in the world. Mm-hmm. We know there's a lot of heaviness going on now, which can impact mental health.
Yes.
And so you have this comedy stage where you spread the comedy, but on top of it, you've been going through this journey that you've kind of started to open up and share. Tell us a little bit about what has been happening and what you've been, for those who haven't seen, what have you been doing?
Well, there has been a turning point in my life to where I guess the things that I used to post, I'm not posting as much anymore, and what I've been going through has been a reflection on my social media, and people, my followers, fans, and the people that care about me have noticed the difference in that. The biggest thing for me was just trying to find who I was. Although I was sharing laughter, trying to spread joy as much as possible, I myself was also hurting on the inside. So some of the stuff that I was posting, half the time it wasn't for the people, it was just to help me release something for myself. And truth be told, I realized that I was hiding behind comedy. A lot of stuff that I was posting was more of a lashing out because I wasn't either happy with my situation, happy with my life. And I've had so many thoughts and so many emotions, just the turmoil within, that I was just confused. I was lost. And this journey that I went on came from me just denouncing the idea of fame. I just stopped caring. about how social media works and how I can be the next big thing. I just denounced it, and then that's when my journey started. That's what it triggered something because I knew I was more than what I was putting out. Yeah.
And that's, I mean, you said so much right there. Because one, like here, people may look at you and feel like you got it all. Like he got the, he got the fans, the followers. He's building his career. I know I just saw you doing something with Kevin Hart. It's like people can look at the exterior and think, man, he got it together. I got 5 followers. I got 100 people, but look at all the people he has, and now and it's powerful that you are a Black man who's successful, doing well, but you're here sharing that and opening up and saying, hey, I was struggling. Because Black men do this all the time. They may share it, but we don't get to see it all the time.
Oh, man. I think that was the turning point as well, like from a social media standpoint. We often joke on social media when the age of Aquarius came in.
Mm-hmm.
So, Black people were like, oh, I'm getting my superpowers, right? I'm getting my superpowers. I joked about that, right? Only to find out that my first video of me actually speaking out and being vulnerable was on December 22nd. And that's when things started being revealed to me, like, hey, when I seen people like reacting to this realness of me, and I was actually vulnerable for a chance, which is very, very rare for me. That's when, I did a couple more videos, and then it was just like, hey, this is what I really called you to do. Your talent or your comedy was just to get an audience, but there are people that need you beyond the fun. And yeah.
So how did you? So you said this was rare, and not only did you become vulnerable, you did it on IG.
Yeah.
So you get feedback. So how did you get? What happened for you to get to this point that I could get on IG and just be like? I don't know if you even shared what did you. Let's give a little. Can you tell a little bit about what you shared for those who may not have seen the video? And I think it was January 6th, the video.
I did one on the 2nd, but it might have been the 1st or January 2nd, which was my birthday. But the one I did then was just Capricorn. Shout out to all the Capricorn. But the one that I did on the 1st was just talking to the parents, just informing them, hey, look, I just think it'll be a good idea if we communicate better with our children, right?
I think I missed that.
Yeah, so that was the one on January 1st, and just trying to open up a gateway of communication, because we cause, whether parents believe it or not, we actually cause a lot of trauma in our children's lives. We are actually the boogeyman and boogie woman of our children, and that's something that's not discussed, right? How we talk to our children, how we treat our children, how we distance ourselves from our children, how we ignore our children. These things cause certain trauma, and now your child feels like they can't talk to you. I'm telling you, people, you can't get mad, and that's the whole reason I was like, hey, grab a piece of paper and ask your children these questions. Don't be mad at the answers. Just accept it, because this is their truth, right? How many times have we wanted to talk to our parents about something that we were dealing with, but we were just cast aside because it's just like, your child, you get over this. No, we have to start nipping things in the bud right then and there, so our children will develop these layers around the lie that they tell themselves. That's what I did. That's how I dealt with my childhood trauma. I lied to myself, and then I became more of a people pleaser. That's how I end up in this position where, like, I had to start learning to be honest with myself. That was the first key of my journey, learning to be honest with myself.
And so we talked on the phone about what triggered, what led you, what got you to this point that you realized, I need some help, like I need to do something different. What was it that, because, like you said, we all kind of are living lives, and sometimes we lie to ourselves and we're unaware. Sometimes we just don't even know that we're dealing with. And I think that's the thing with the mental health. And part of the reason I was reaching out to you is like, we're at a time where mental health is pressed, we're pushed. Everyone's like, yeah, mental health is important. It's good. We need this. We support it. but it's for everybody else, like for them, not for me. Right. It's like, yeah, it's good for them. You know, the person who's sad, the person depressed.
I literally was a person that when this whole mental health thing really took a run at it, like I was just one of those people. I'm just like, it's not that hard to be happy, right? Mm-hmm. I'm putting at other people just like, man, you can't be this sad, you can't be this depressed. Not knowing that I was the one depressed, not knowing that I was the one hurting and needed the help. And it's amazing how you can push your fears and lack thereof on somebody else because they're open enough to speak about it, you know? And once I realized, I was just like, it just hit me one day. It was just like, dude, you need help. Like, you need help. And this is my higher self talking to me. And you get little signs from the universe, like stuff just popping up. But I had already started this certain process of healing, reading audiobooks, doing research. But I had never cracked the part of just fully letting go to the idea of it. And then when that wall came down, I was like, look, I can't do this anymore. Maybe I do need to talk to somebody. Maybe. And that was the part for me. And that's the part that I'm trying to get other brothers to understand. Like, we deal with so much with how we use our feelings and emotions because that was capped off, right? The only way we use our emotions is doing sports. Like we're forced to direct our emotions into certain areas, not for the part about self-love. You know what I mean? Like just being able to cry if you need to let it out. You're being able to just vent if you need to let it out. We don't get to do those things, but that's a lot. You know, we all are human. We all share feminine and masculine energy. And that's the part as a man, that you're born a man and you learn these masculine, and you have these masculine traits and things of that sort. But part of your purpose on this earth is to find the feminine side of yourself. And when we talk about feminine, we don't mean in a homosexual way. That's not the feminine part of a man is his inner self, because men are very physical beings, so you deal with the physical, right? The feminine is the part of the man that's the caring, the understanding, the nurturing part, because you do possess that. Don't matter what nobody took, you possess all of those things. That's why we can never get on the same wavelength with our lady, because you think she tripping, but she's trying to get you to see something that you haven't been taught. That's the only reason we get into these debates and arguments with our counterparts, because we lack that understanding. So, yeah.
So you mentioned about the summer, like going through the pandemic and having that time of isolation. Yes. Talk about how that had impacted and played a part of your role of this process that you're going through.
Well, the pandemic started, and what happened is, because I'm always on the go, I'm constantly doing shows, I'm constantly at this event, doing that event, just busy. For the first time, which I was already getting tired, but I couldn't put it. I just couldn't, but I was just constantly going. But the pandemic was one of the first and the only times where it was just like, I felt like God just really said, sit down. We about to start this now.
I think a lot of people felt
that. Yeah, I believe a lot of people did feel that way. And it's the reflection of self. Yeah. When I looked at myself, I was disgusted with myself. I knew that I wasn't right. I had a lot of character flaws that I needed to get rid of, and I had some characters, things that I wanted to replace and rebuild and chisel out in myself, because I knew I was better than myself. I knew that my relationship wasn't healthy. My relationship was toxic, and I'm sitting there trying to figure it out. The whole time I was the toxic person in my relationship. That's a tough reality. when you find out you were the cause of all this, and taking accountability for that, that's another part. Taking accountability for your actions and the role that you played in it. And it's a tough look in the mirror. It's oh man, it's tough.
And how did you do that? Because I know I've gone through my process, and it is hard. Sometimes it can feel very discouraging, like when you look at the massive weight of your issues. It's like, okay, now I'm supposed to progress forward, like we're talking about. So how do you progress when you feel like, man, like, look at all this I've done? Like, how do you find the strength to face the new day and to move forward?
You have to, first of all, what I did was I convinced myself that I would be better. I had to convince myself that I would be better.
So you had hope.
Yeah, I had hope. And another thing that I did was I took a notebook. I got a notebook, and I do my I Am Affirmations. In the middle of the page, I write I am big in the center, and I wrote all the characteristics and all of the things that I want to be. And it's a constant reminder to myself every morning of what I have to do, of what I should be being capable of, being loving, being at peace, being balanced, being full of joy, being happy. And another thing is, with this process, is learning to forgive yourself, which is it's the most massive part of it all. Forgiveness is very tricky because emotionally we are tied to situations, whether it's your fault or someone else's, right? So forgiveness of your old mind, because now that you're in the knowing of these things, because a lot of times we don't know that we're doing these things. Like we're so used to doing it, like you just don't know that you are being dismissive of a person, not listening to a person, not loving a person properly. You don't know. You're so naive and so blinded by your own depression, own torment, that you can't see what you're putting out. So the ability to forgive yourself is vital, because that allows you to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do different. And doing something different, it takes time to break habits. It takes time to give yourself the confidence to know that it's going to be okay. Because while you're going through this transformation, you don't know what's going on. It's not until, for me, after a 9-month cycle, finally it was like, oh, this is what was going on the whole time. My development, me getting to this stage of finally loving myself properly. It took 9 months, but that's just my timeline. Because I was willing to let go. I was willing to just to relieve yourself of burdens, to relieve yourself of childhood traumas, to relieve yourself of things that you know you're guilty of that don't nobody else know about but you, right? That's the part. That's the part that you have to work with each and every day with yourself. Because the past will haunt you, but you have to be strong enough to be like, look, I've dealt with that. I'm done with that. I'm only using my past as a pinpoint reference, so that if I see this pop up again, I can overcome that. Because you can't fool me. You're not going to fool me again. That's the tricks of your mind, the old mind, the ego. So yeah, that's how I dealt with that.
It was a lot. If you have done a lot of work, and it's very obvious. I mean, because just the way that you're communicating about what your insight into the issues that you've had and how it played out into your relationships, like all of that you've done a tremendous amount of work. So what work did you do? Like what played a part of your process?
My process was so spiritually. I did a lot of research. It's a matter of, the biggest thing that I learned was you have to look within, right? Looking within, and people say, how do you look within? I had to learn how to meditate. Ayo, how do you meditate? It's a matter of being isolated and being isolated and being to yourself. Because doing meditation, what you're doing is you're not so much praying, you're seeking clarity, you're seeking answers, but that has to come literally just, you actually know all the answers. That's the funny thing. You know the answers, but we don't want to give in to what you have to do, right? So you have to be strong enough to be like, you know what? I'm not doing this with myself. Because all I'm going to do is repeat over and over again. So, meditation. Audiobooks. Audiobooks was a big one. If I can refer anyone to any book, it'll be Letting Go by Robert Hawkins. No, David R. Hawkins. David R. Hawkins, I'm sorry. And it's called Letting Go. And this allowed me to go within. It allowed me to mentally check certain thoughts, feelings, certain traumas from my past, and being able to make calls. Hey, look, I know I call people. Wow. Hey, look, I know I was wrong. Look, I did this. I apologize for my.
Wait a minute, because you know how many people sitting back waiting for their apologies, and we may not ever get an apology. But I applaud you for that.
When I tell you, being able to smooth over. When I say smooth over, you just have to recognize your own BS. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because you know what you did. That's the crazy part. Right. You know what you did to commit these transgressions against certain people. And it's just a matter of picking up the phone and say, hey, look, I wasn't mentally and emotionally, I wasn't in the right space. I just want to apologize to you for, making you feel like this, right. Or like just doing whatever you have to do, get that off your chest. Right. Because I guarantee you, it feels like somebody's cutting the string. And now you're feeling lighter. Right. You're able to move. You don't have to, side-eye nothing in your life. That's forgiving. I'm telling you. Forgiving yourself and learning to forgive others.
Let me tell you, we had a great conversation the other day, but you just took it to a whole other level. You didn't tell me that the other day. He saved that and said he called and gave them apologies. I want y'all to be encouraged. Somebody might get an apology call. Hey. Don't be sad if you don't, though. It's okay. We're going to still let go. We still going to move forward. We still going to progress, whether they call you or not.
But progression, you have to seek progression. Right. You cannot. Another thing is, I became fearless. In order to grow, you have to become fearless, because the very thing that's holding you back is what you have to ask yourself. What are you afraid of? Right. What's stopping you from evolving? Because at the end of the day, life goes on. Right. Things go on. Things must continue to seek a higher purpose, a higher calling, whatever it is. Right. Like at the end of the day, people have to understand. You must be willing, always willing to grow. Your physical stature, you may not grow, tall as an NBA player, whatever, but you have to be mentally. It's all mental. Right. Let me get that straight. It's all mental. Right. If you can find yourself mentally and understand yourself mentally, man, know thyself. It's one of the oldest proverbs ever. Man, know thyself. It's the most important one, because mentally, if you can understand yourself, you will unlock the doors and gateways of your life that you thought it was just, you will only see in movies. You will only see in dreams. You're capable of so much. And we have to stop being distracted by things outside of ourselves, of our purpose. Right. So that's you have to want to evolve.
This is so good, Ayo. I really appreciate your time and all that you've shared. And y'all, hopefully we'll get to have another conversation to continue this talk. Like I said, it's so important for Black men, but for everybody, not just men and women. But we need to identify the areas within ourselves, because we can always, let's say, you see the mote in your brother, the speck in your brother's eye, and ignore the mote in your own eye. And so we want to be aware of ourselves. And what is it that I need to grow in? Where are my weaknesses? Where am I struggling? And so quickly, if you could think of some of the signs or symptoms that maybe, I don't know if you dealt with depression or different things, but before you knew you were having a problem, but when you look back now, are there any just particular signs or symptoms that you had that maybe it showed that maybe you had some depression or some anxiety?
Holidays weren't as joyful as it should have been. Like this past year was like my best holiday season since I was a kid. So when you're around people, like, is it truthful to you, like, to be around, like, having fun, or is it like, hey, I'm here, and then in the back of your mind you're not happy? Like, being honest with yourself, like, hey, I don't really want to be. If you have to be like, I don't really want to be there, you're not happy when you're supposed to be at a happy thing. Another thing was, this is just going to play out in your behavior, but you have to be aware when people are addressing you. If a lot of people are asking you, hey, what's wrong with you? And you're just like, no, I'm good. Hey, what's wrong with you? Ain't that many? Like, because people know when you're up.
Right.
But if multiple people are asking what's wrong, that's a red flag. But at the end of the day, your emotions are a red flag of what's to come, and you have to hurry up and be aware. You have to have the intuition to know, hey, look, something's not right. Let me nip this in the bud right now so I can balance myself back out. So I would advise any brother, any sister, look, if you are dealing with anything internally that you want to get off your chest, that you want to get out your mind, that you want to just be able to just release from yourself, seek the counseling and the help. A lot of us have, we have insurance. These therapists take insurance. Just do it for yourself, because at the end of the day, you have enough time. You still have time to break your generational curses. And we want to do that.
Yes.
Break the generational curse so you can create generational wealth, health, and abundance and prosperity for you and your family.
Yes.
Point blank period. But you can't do it if you're mentally and emotionally torn and confined. We're not doing this no more.
It stops today. And so we want your call to action today is, one, I personally, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, but I believe that everyone should have a therapist, like you have a primary care physician. So if you do not have a therapist, I do encourage you to research, to look out there. AO did post his counselor, and then I think there were other people who posted counselors on there. We'll add a list of counselors in the community, but reach out to someone. You can ask friends and family. You'll be surprised the number of people who actually have counselors. I go to counseling. I've been doing weekly counseling since my divorce. I do virtual counseling, and so I'm not just a counselor. I believe in it. And so I've also had to take medication. Everyone doesn't have to take medication. I take anxiety medication. It took me a long time, even being in the profession, to get to that point. I'm just sharing that to say, whatever your process, everyone's process is different. Just because one person needs medicine doesn't mean you do. And so, but just start the process. Talk to somebody. You can talk and talk to a counselor. Some people may need a psychiatrist as well. But whatever your journey is, don't be afraid to take the first step. Then also, he mentioned books. So you may start with an Audible book and start listening to some books on healing. And what was the name of the book again?
Letting Go.
Letting Go. And so he mentioned the author's name earlier. I don't remember.
David R. Hawkins.
Okay, so you can check that book out or any other books that's related to healing. But we encourage you, take your first step today. Do something for you. And before we end, I want to ask everybody one self-care thing that they do. What is something you do for self-care?
Self-care. I work out.
Okay.
That's what I do. I work out. That's my joy, because like when you're mentally healthy, like you start taking care of your body.
Right.
So they play hand in hand.
Okay. And then tell us something that nobody knows about you. Or a fun fact, something.
A fun fact about me. A fun fact.
Funny story, something. Whatever you can think of.
Fun fact about me. I enjoy Well, I think people know that. Well, I enjoy anime. I don't know. I don't know. I watch cartoons and anime all day.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
That's good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to it. All right, everyone. Well, hello again. Well, first of all, before I say anything, wasn't that conversation with AO just amazing? Thank you again, AO, for just your vulnerability, transparency, just for you being real, having real conversation and acknowledging your process. That's so powerful for anybody to do it, but especially for our Black men to have opportunities to open up and share. And as you all know, I said there will be opportunities for community engagement. And so after this episode next week, I'm going to be hosting a lunch on January 30th for Black men in Baton Rouge. It's going to be a small group, 8 to 10 people. There have been invites sent out, but there may be a few spots left. And so what it is, it's going to be a mental health and networking lunch where men can kind of come together. AO will be there, and it'll be a time for men to just talk and express their feelings about mental health. And I'll provide some handouts, but I'm sponsoring it, Progress with Portia. We're paying for the lunch. They just have to show up. And so I'm really excited. I've had some good positive feedback from some men who've already committed to come. And so I'm really excited about what's happening. I do have a passion and a desire to do more for Black men in the community regarding mental health. So if you have any interests, questions, or needs, please just reach out to me. You can reach me at progresswithportia.com. You can send me a message if you want to comment below. And y'all, if you enjoyed the show, anything you like, give me feedback, comment, what you love, what stood out to you, what touched you. Y'all share it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, okay? Because this is great. We don't want to keep it to ourselves. We want to share. And I hope that you have a conversation with those around you about what we talked about, and talk about the things that were shared and expressed, and maybe just ask questions about, hey, have you ever experienced this? Have you ever had any struggles with your mental health? Or maybe be transparent with somebody you trust. You don't have to, and just whatever you're comfortable with, whatever feels right for you. But I encourage you to have conversations and do the call to action. Find something that fits you and do that. But this, guys, is the dedication segment of the show. So I am so excited about this. This is a time where people can send in letters. You can dedicate a song. You can write a love letter to someone. You can write a letter of forgiveness, a letter of closure. You can write a letter of encouragement, a prayer, a poem. The thing is, you have to dedicate it to somebody. It has to be to an individual, not a broad, generic letter. But I want it to be to an individual. And the purpose of this segment is to, again, to encourage conversation, expression of feelings, to get our thoughts out of our head, to be intentional about sharing our feelings with other people. It could be a therapeutic act for those, because one of the things is you can write a letter to someone who's deceased. And so you can, that could be a therapeutic act. If you write a letter of forgiveness or closure, it could be therapeutic. It can also be healing for those who are going to receive that letter or hear that letter and know that it's for them. Then also for those of us watching, it's positivity, it's encouragement, but it's also exposure for people. Some people didn't grow up in households where people express their feelings. And so having opportunities to have people express feelings is going to build and help encourage people and expose them that they don't take your words, but they find their own words and use it as an example to help them to start communicating their feelings to other people. So I'm so excited, y'all. I have the first letter today, and my mom is the one who is dedicating this letter today. So my mom is Sandra, and she's writing this letter to her deceased father, Timothy Witt. And she has titled her letter, "You Don't Have to Be Blood to Be Family." And so she says, "I would like to take a moment to dedicate this to the man I call Daddy.
We were not from the same bloodline, and yet you poured your heart into me. I didn't look like you, but I act like you because you were a loving example to me. Your bloodline denied me, but you loved me like I was your blood. Others put me down for being different than the rest of the siblings, but you lifted my spirits with your confidence in me. When you would come home from work, you always gave me a butterscotch candy, but the sweetest treat was the love in your eyes when you saw me. You always made me feel like I was the light of your life. You were always caring and sharing wisdom. Because of your love, I believed I mattered. I believed I was valued. So even though I was not from your blood, I believed our hearts beat the same. I love you. Love to you always, Daddy. Love your daughter, Sandra. Y'all, and I'm so emotional. I cried the first time I read through this. Of course, it's personal because that's my mom and she's talking to my granddad. But I'm emotional regardless. I'm sensitive, I should say. I'm sensitive. I don't know if emotional is a good word. But yeah, I absolutely love this letter. So thank you again, Mom, for being a part of my first show, for sharing that. And guys, that's what I'm looking for you all to express your feelings, your thoughts to somebody, to dedicate something to someone. Be creative. You can join me live on the show and you can remain anonymous. I don't have to say your name, but I do want it to be dedicated to somebody. I would like to have a name to be able to say, but if you want to use a nickname or something, that also could work, or something that maybe only they would know. But I want people to know that these are real letters, that somebody really did send them to me. But y'all, I'm excited. Thank you again. That's the end of the first show. Y'all, I'm looking forward to next week. I have Extreme Life with Tanisha. We are talking about health. We're doing a little exercise, and then the community activity will be a walk in Baton Rouge. So be on the lookout. We are socially distanced. We can wear our masks, but we can get healthy and get fit together. Tanisha has been a blessing to me, so I look forward to that, and I'll see you next time. Take care.